Thackeray bastion falls after 28 years. Mumbai witnesses a BJP-Sena sweep in the BMC elections as the combine wrests Asia's richest civic body from Uddhav Thackre's party. Two major political reunions, the Thackerays and the Pawars, fall flat. Rahul Gandhi ignites a political firestorm over the ink row in the Maharashtra local body elections, accuses the Election Commission of gaslighting voters and reiterates his allegation of vote theft. The BJP hits back, says the excuse brigade is at it again. The Supreme Court shuts the door on Justice Yashwant Verma, rejecting his plea against the Lok Sabha Speaker's impeachment panel, clearing the way for Parliament to initiate proceedings in the cash at home scandal. At the United Nations, India hits back hard at Pakistan, with the latter raising Kashmir once again. New Delhi accuses Islamabad of abusing the global stage to push lies, says Jammu and Kashmir is integral to India and calls out UN failures for eroding global trust. US lawmaker draws a sharp line, says India and not Pakistan is America's enduring strategic ally, adds long-term US ties are anchored in New Delhi, which is key to Indo-Pacific stability and global balance. Iran accuses the US and Israel of orchestrating unrest, vows harsh crackdown on protesters, labeling them as rioters, warns that the chaos may spill beyond Iranian borders. Meanwhile, Trump stays cautious, says he will watch and see amid rising tensions in Iran. In a bizarre move, Venezuela's opposition leader Maria Corina Machado hands over her Nobel Peace Prize to US President Donald Trump during a meeting at the White House. Trump gleefully accepts. The Nobel Committee makes it clear the award cannot be transferred. Trump threatens to invoke the Insurrection Act and deploy troops in Minnesota as explosive anti-ICE protests rage after federal agents shoot people, turning Minneapolis into a flashpoint of civil unrest in the US. Hello and welcome to the Times of India. You're watching Headlines at 8 with me, Neha Khanna. Our top story. The Thackeray bastion has fallen after 28 years. India's financial capital has witnessed a BJP-Sena sweep in the BMC elections. The BJP-Shiv Sena Alliance has emerged victorious in the BMC elections in Mumbai and clinched it from the Shiv Sena UBT. Mumbai will now get a BJP-Sena mayor after a long time. Under Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis's leadership, the BJP has surpassed its previous high of 82 seats in 2017, winning at least 90 of the 227 wards in the BMC. Its ally, the Eknath Shinde-led Shiv Sena, at last count, was ahead in 70 seats. The BJP-led Mahayuti has achieved a big victory not only in Mumbai but across Maharashtra, with an edge on most of the 29 municipal corporations, including Pune, Pimpri-Chinchwad, Kalyan Dombivli, Nashik, Thane and Navi Mumbai, among others. Numbers suggest the ruling coalition will end up with over 1,400 of the 2,869 seats in Maharashtra. Two major political reunions, the Thackerays and the Pawars, have fallen flat. The Uddhav-Sena MNS combine and the joint contest by both NCP factions have performed poorly in most civic bodies in Maharashtra. The coming together of the cousins in a grand move last month did not help Uddhav and Raj Thackeray retain control of the cash-rich BMC. The highly anticipated Sharad Pawar-Ajit Pawar family reunion for the Pune and Pimpri-Chinchwad municipal elections, their two strongholds, also flopped, with the BJP taking a big lead in both cities. The Pimpri-Chinchwad Municipal Corporation, considered one of the richest after the BMC, had been held by Sharad Pawar's undivided NCP since 2017. However, the Pawars have lost their stronghold despite aggressive campaigning. The uncle and nephew, who had previously worked together as part of the NCP, split in 2023 when Ajit Pawar allied with the BJP in Maharashtra. Sharad Pawar's NCP faction has been a part of the opposition alliance both in the state and at the centre. Calls for their reconciliation began to surface after the BJP-led Mahayuti Alliance's landslide victory in the Maharashtra Assembly elections last year. In the BMC, the richest civic body in Asia, whose annual budget exceeds 74,400 crore, there were 1,700 candidates for 227 seats. Elections for the BMC were held after 9 long years and a 4-year delay. In the last elections held in 2017, the united Shiv Sena had retained its grip on the BMC, which it had been controlling for decades. All that has now changed.
मित्रों, आप सभी ने देखा कि आज महाराष्ट्र नगर निगम में भारतीय जनता पार्टी और हमारे गठबंधन सहयोगियों के साथ महायुति ने शानदार सफलता अर्जित की है। यह दर्शाता है कि प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में भाजपा और एनडीए के प्रति स्वीकार्यता उत्तरोत्तर बढ़ रही है। मात्र कुछ दिन पूर्व केरल नगर निगम चुनावों में तिरुवनंतपुरम में पहली बार हमने बहुमत पाया था। आज देश के और संभवतः एशिया के सबसे बड़े नगर निगम बीएमसी बृहन मुंबई म्युनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन में जो अभूतपूर्व सफलता भाजपा, एनडीए और वहां महायुति को मिली है, उसके लिए हम महाराष्ट्र की जनता का, महाराष्ट्र के मतदाताओं का भारतीय जनता पार्टी की तरफ से धन्यवाद देते हैं। इसके लिए हमारे महाराष्ट्र प्रदेश के कार्यकर्ता, पदाधिकारी, हमारे प्रदेश अध्यक्ष, मुंबई के प्रदेश अध्यक्ष, मुख्यमंत्री श्री देवेंद्र फडणवीस जी और उप मुख्यमंत्री एकनाथ शिंदे जी और उनकी मेहनत का यह शानदार फल है। और प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में जो अपार लोकप्रियता भारतीय जनता पार्टी को हासिल हुई है, उसके ये व्यापक विस्तार का एक चरण है।
Congress leader Rahul Gandhi has accused the Election Commission of gaslighting citizens. This comes amid a huge controversy over the quality of ink used in marker pens in the Maharashtra civic body polls. On Thursday, when municipal corporation elections were held across Maharashtra, opposition leaders alleged that the ink mark on the finger could be easily wiped off. Today, reiterating his vote theft allegation, Rahul Gandhi wrote on the social media, and I quote, "Election Commission gaslighting citizens is how trust has collapsed in our democracy. Vote chori is an anti-national act." The Maharashtra State Election Commission has said it would conduct a probe into the quality of the ink used in marker pens, but added that it has been used since 2011 for all local body elections. Mumbai Congress leader and Lok Sabha MP Varsha Gaikwad had shared a video of her party colleague using acetone to wipe off the ink from his finger. MNS chief Raj Thackeray and his cousin Shiv Sena UBT President Uddhav Thackeray had also raised this issue. Responding to Rahul Gandhi's charge, the BJP has accused him of misleading people by discrediting the Maharashtra civic poll process. A party spokesperson wrote, and I quote, "The excuse brigade is back. Accepting defeat before counting ends, Rahul back to doing what he does best: discredit, distort and disinform. Khandani Chor now regurgitating claims of the Thackerays," he wrote. The BJP has repeatedly rejected Gandhi's vote theft allegation, calling it baseless and an attempt at hiding his failures. In other news, the Supreme Court today rejected Allahabad High Court Judge Justice Yashwant Verma's plea challenging the legality of the committee constituted by the Lok Sabha Speaker in the impeachment motion moved against him. This motion was moved in connection with the recovery of burnt cash from Justice Verma's Delhi residence last year, an incident that sent shockwaves through the judiciary. The bench, hearing his plea, stated the Lok Sabha Speaker committed no illegality in constituting the committee and that Justice Verma is not entitled to any relief and no interference by the court is called for. Justice Yashwant Verma landed in controversy following allegations of cash being found at his residence during a fire in March last year. At that time, he was a judge of the Delhi High Court. Subsequently, on the 20th of March, the Supreme Court Collegium proposed that Justice Verma be transferred to Allahabad. On the 22nd of March, the then Chief Justice of India constituted a 3-member committee to investigate the allegations against the judge. The in-house inquiry panel found merit in the allegations against Justice Verma, which were then forwarded to the President and Prime Minister for further action. Well, if Pakistani leaders thought their country was some great ally of the United States, here's a reality check for them. US lawmakers the distinction between India and Pakistan, making it clear that New Delhi and not Islamabad is Washington's enduring strategic bet as the United States braces for an intensifying showdown with China. US Congressman Rich McCormick has highlighted India's growing economic and strategic importance, contrasting it with Pakistan. He also praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi's approach. Speaking at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, McCormick said, and I quote, "Pakistan is a country with 300 million people, but you don't see it bringing investments into America. India not only takes investment, it also brings investments into the United States." The US lawmaker added, Prime Minister Modi is extremely nationalistic in a good way. He's looking out for his country. When India buys cheap Russian oil, America hates it, but he's doing it in the best interest of his country. McCormick stressed that routine diplomatic engagement with Pakistan should not be confused with alignment, asserting that America's long-term economic, technological and security investments are decisively anchored in India, with bipartisan policy continuity keeping New Delhi at the heart of US global strategy. Framing China as Washington's foremost adversary, the US lawmaker described India as indispensable to global stability and warned that any misstep in managing ties with New Delhi could unsettle the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific.
Well, let me start with Congressman McCormick. I think it was a little over a year ago you took over as co-chair of the House Caucus on India and Indian Americans. Got to hear a bit of this in the back room before coming out, but what sort of attracted you and pulled you in the direction about taking this important leadership role in this important relationship?
Well, as you guys probably realize, there's a reason for my great success in medicine and everything. I am 2% Indian. I just want to put it out there right now. I did my genetics. It's how I made it through medical school. We have 14% Indian diaspora in my district. It's the wealthiest Republican district in America by median income. And a large part of that is because it is the wealthiest and most successful demographic in America. Likewise, we have a large Korean diaspora. We have about 40% minorities. It is an extremely conservative district, especially financially. And there is no more important friend that we're going to need for the future of not just for the United States and India, but for the entire stability of the world than India. If you consider about the regional security of the Chinese influence of that sphere, 70% of the trade that goes through that straits there with Taiwan, the commonality we have in the way we look at economics and freedom and advancement of a people. We could literally, you have the oldest democracy and the largest democracy. If they unite, which will be 2 of the 3 biggest economies in the world in short order, and with an expanding economy of about 8% per year, we could literally usher in a new generation of peace that could last 100 years if we do this right. Conversely, if we do it wrong, it could be catastrophic for us. If they start joining up with Russia and China, that will put everything out of balance for us, and it would be devastating for the future of our relationship as well as for the world, in my opinion. Prime Minister Modi is extremely nationalistic in a good way. I mean, he's looking after his country just like we look after our country. He wants to bring productivity and expansion and technologies to his country. He wants the military to be built up inside of his country. Matter of fact, there's several laws that kind of inhibit our collaborating and that are troublesome to the advancement of their military as well as our collaboration. But I understand why he's doing it. If you understand his motivations, if you understand some of the things that frustrate us when they buy cheap Russian oil, it basically funds a war in Ukraine. We hate that. But he's doing it for the best interest of his country so he can expand his economy with cheap energy. So there's a lot of economical reasons that he's going to do what he's going to do. But in the end, I think he understands how important we are because we are like-minded. And because when we collaborate, when you have 250,000 Indian students here right now in America, right now, but we also have 250,000 Chinese students in America right now. We have 1 million total. The industry that we bring back to India, the consumption that we do of Indian goods is very important. But we need to make sure there's balance there, that there's equal buy-in. And it's not going to be perfectly balanced. Anybody who's married understands that, but some better than others. But I think understanding that it is a collaboration and that there does have to be a fairness, an open market to both, where we have a capitalistic synergy. And I think that's a complex issue. And when you talk about the president and his leverage, he has to use our leverage because we are their biggest consumer. We're the world's biggest consumer. We have a $30 trillion economy. India is not even past Germany yet. They're about 400. I think they just passed Japan, but they're coming up on Germany, and they're going to blow by Germany. And then they're going to advance on China. But China's been crushing it since about 2015 when they came out with the Made in China initiative. They've been cheating their way to the top through the World Trade Organization, which we gave in good faith, and they've abused. We want to make sure that India stays in line with good economics, good faith, and good relationships, that it doesn't become an abusive relationship on either side. But there's always going to be leverage done with the president, and some presidents leverage more than others. In my opinion, it's happened to some degree anyways. We've divested from China, and India's picking up the slack in many of the production lines. That whole region is also, Vietnam, Thailand, you're seeing Cambodia trying to step in right now, but also the relationship with China makes that confounded in some ways. But India, I think, has, once again, a unique ability because of the population, 1.47 billion people. I mean,
1.4 billion.
That's crazy. It's the biggest, it's blown by China. China's shrinking, India still is expanding. India's one of only 2 places in the world that's still expanding as a population. Everybody else, we've reached a plateau in the Earth's population. And you'll see it decline over time, I think, if Africa could ever get a hold of their population. India and Africa are the only 2 places where we're really expanding by any kind of noticeable. Everybody else is declining dramatically. So whereas the population still matters, talent really matters. And India is supplying a tremendous amount of talent to the entire world, not just in exporting talented people, but also in what they're filling. Look, they just put a spaceship on the dark side of the moon for under $80 million, not billion, $1 million. We can't even build a building to talk about putting a spaceship on the dark side of the moon for that much. They're just becoming extremely, it's kind of like jumping past telephone poles and going straight to cellular. They have some real advantages in the way they're approaching businesses right now. And people should be very, not concerned, but very aware of that so that we can work synergistically. We embrace them as friends. We usher in that peace, that prosperity for the rest of the world. If we alienate them, it's going to be big trouble for all of us. And I mean that sincerely. Big trouble for them too, quite frankly, but we have to lead the way. We are still the world leader. We will set the bar for that relationship. And everything that President Trump or President Biden or anybody else who's going to be president, I hope they put that at the top of their strategic priority list.
Iran's defense minister has made a fierce accusation claiming the unrest across the country is not homegrown but a result of a coordinated foreign conspiracy. Aziz Nazirzadeh has alleged that the United States, Israel and their allies are actively plotting to destabilize and fracture Iran. He says Tehran has precise information proving that outside forces are directing the turmoil. Striking a hardline note, Nazirzadeh has warned that Iran will deploy all available means to crush what he called rioters, adding, if the chaos continues, its fallout could spread well beyond Iran's borders. In Washington, uncertainty hangs heavy over the next move. The White House has signaled that only President Donald Trump holds the cards. This after he appeared to dial back talk of an imminent strike on Iran. Trump said he would watch and see, suggesting the violence inside Iran may be slowing even as tensions remain razor-sharp. At least 2,400 people have been killed during more than 2 weeks of intense protests across Iran.
And undeniable intelligence that the United States of America, the Zionist regime, and several of their allied partner nations have assumed the responsibility for directing these specific matters. And they have even established a dialogue center so that separatists and future terrorists can determine Iran's future, and each region can write its own constitution. In this regard, they provided weapons and financial and logistical support. Now, We have complete intelligence on these matters, fully documented. They held joint meetings in one of the countries in the region where intelligence services, specifically those of the United States and certain Western nations, presented their dedicated plans for increasing funding with the aim of creating chaos in our country. In this meeting, even the rates of destruction across Iran were officially determined. A bounty for killing each person is 500 million toman. A bounty for setting fire to each car is 200 million toman. The price for setting police stations on fire is 80 million tomans. And for any kind of disruptive actions, it's 15 million toman. You are observing. The killing of each person for 500 million toman means their objective is to fabricate deaths. Just kill anyone in your path and collect 500 million toman. In connection with this matter, an individual has been apprehended who received 900 million tomans for these kinds of actions. These disturbances had several specific characteristics. First, there was overt violence in the classification of the victims, regardless of their number. The majority of the victims were killed by stabbing or through strangulation, and approximately 60% of these individuals died from severe blows to the head. One of the injured individuals whom we had taken into custody was saying, "I was struck by the very same person who called for the unrest." After some time had passed, he shot me with an arrow. He said, "Nalbatki, you are no longer useful." Among other characteristics, the perpetrators of the riots used drugs, synthetic drugs, with the aim of becoming impervious to human emotions and compassion and to escalate violent and brutal actions. Some of the terrorists who were killed had consumed so many drugs that they died without feeling any pain because they consumed these substances excessively. The deliberate killing of minor and low-level agitators by their own team leaders with the specific objective of fabricating martyrs and intensely provoking public sentiment, achieved through close-range shots directly to the head. A targeted attack on the property and assets belonging to the general public. It is common for looting to take place during public protests. However, during these disturbances, more than 150 chain stores which provided the public's essential provisions were subjected to destruction, yet not a single one was looted. The objective was to disrupt the services provided to the people. The breaking of a taboo in the clear revelation of foreign elements' involvement. You are all well aware that American and Israeli officials no longer conceal their wicked and malicious intentions in any way. Other distinguishing characteristics of these disturbances included attacks on military and governmental headquarters. I see the military bases, the governorate, so mass television and radio centers all have been set on fire. Their goal was to remove weapons from these centers and use them in the riots. Their targeted attacks against religious and cultural sites and the burning of the Holy Quran clearly demonstrate that the true nature of these riots has been security-driven and terrorist, not a genuine protest movement, nor driven by economic concerns. I, as the Minister of Defense of the Islamic Republic of Iran, I am issuing a warning to the enemies. And I would like to deliver this important message to my friends. Just as security is contagious, so is insecurity. And we will employ every means at our disposal to suppress the agitators within the nation's borders. But it may prove impossible for us to prevent their proliferation across international boundaries.
And finally, if you thought things couldn't get any more surreal in the world that we live in, given recent developments, well, they just did. In an absolutely bizarre move that has left the world shaking its head with disbelief and even amusement, Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, arrived at the White House on Thursday with a dramatic offering designed to capture Donald Trump's attention, her Nobel Peace Prize, the award that Trump so covets. The medal awarded last year for Machado's pro-democracy campaign against Nicolas Maduro's regime in Venezuela, was presented to Trump as Machado's personal tribute to the US president. That's how she put it. A symbolic plea for American backing in shaping Venezuela's post-Maduro future. Photographs released by the White House showed Trump holding the gold-framed plaque while praising the gesture publicly, calling it a sign of mutual respect, even as questions swirl over whether the move would translate into real political support for Machado. A photo released by the White House shows Trump beside Machado holding a large gold-framed plaque that appeared wall-ready, containing the medal and the dedication. The caption states, "Presented as a personal symbol of gratitude on behalf of the Venezuelan people in recognition of President Trump's principled and decisive action to secure a free Venezuela." Trump then wrote on social media, "Maria presented me with her Nobel Peace Prize for the work I have done. Such a wonderful gesture of mutual respect." The Oslo-based Nobel Peace Center promptly stated that the medals cannot be shared or transferred, punctuating the movement's symbolism. The committee wrote on X, "A medal can change owners, but the title of a Nobel Peace Prize laureate cannot." Machado, meanwhile, gave an optimistic view of her meeting with Trump, calling it historic and extraordinary. But beyond the optics, clarity was conspicuously absent. Machado left the White House carrying a Trump-branded swag bag, but with no visible endorsement for her leadership bid, as Washington continues to hedge its bets by backing Maduro's former Vice President Delcy Rodriguez as interim leader. For Machado, the gamble was clear: trading the world's highest peace honor for US support. But whether the gesture shifts the balance of power in Venezuela remains uncertain, leaving her future hanging in limbo.
I presented the President of the United States the medal of the Nobel Peace Prize, and I told him this, listen to this. 200 years ago, General Lafayette gave Simón Bolívar a medal with George Washington's face on it. Bolívar since then kept that medal for the rest of his life. Actually, when you see his portraits, you can see the medal there. And it was given by General Lafayette as a sign of the brotherhood between the United States, people of the United States and the people of Venezuela in their fight for freedom against tyranny. And 200 years in history, the people of Bolívar are giving back to the heir of Washington a medal, in this case a medal of the Nobel Peace Prize, as a recognition for his unique commitment with our freedom.
For years, Donald Trump wanted it. He talked about it. He hinted at it. He openly complained about not getting it.
Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements.
And now, in a move as dramatic as it is controversial, US President Donald Trump has finally received a Nobel Peace Prize medal. Not from Oslo, not from the Nobel Committee, but from Venezuela's embattled opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado. Machado is the current Nobel Peace Prize laureate, awarded the honor for her role in resisting Venezuela's authoritarian regime. She presented Trump her medal during a closed-door meeting at the White House, calling it recognition of his unique commitment to Venezuelan freedom. "I presented the President of the United States the medal, the Nobel Peace Prize," Machado told reporters, saying it was her way of honoring Trump's role. Trump, clearly pleased, wasted no time responding. He praised Machado as a wonderful woman who has been through so much and described the gesture as one of mutual respect. Trump even said the prize was for the work I have done. A White House official later confirmed Trump plans to keep the medal. There's just one problem. The Nobel Institute says Machado cannot legally transfer the prize. The medal, they say, is non-transferable. This was at best a symbolic act, but symbolism matters, and this symbol came at a politically awkward moment. Machado was widely believed to have won Venezuela's disputed 2024 election, an outcome rejected by longtime strongman Nicolás Maduro. For months, she was the face of democratic resistance. But earlier this month, Trump sidelined her, first by backing regime change, then by signaling openness to working with Delcy Rodriguez, Maduro's former deputy and now acting president. Trump even questioned whether Machado had enough support inside Venezuela.
You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship going?
I understand she was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. He just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple. Yes.
Is the U.S. aware of the location of opposition leader Machado, and have you been in contact with her?
No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
Mr. President,
Do you have any hesitations about Machado?
Mr. President, on Monday.
Oh, I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect to be.
Despite that, Machado made the trip to Washington. After the meeting, she emerged to cheers outside the White House gates, hugging supporters and declaring, "We can count on President Trump." But behind the smiles, uncertainty remains. This was Machado's first public appearance in weeks. She had spent 11 months in hiding inside Venezuela. She resurfaced only after traveling to Norway, where her daughter accepted the Nobel Prize on her behalf. That same medal is now sitting in Washington. So what was this really? A diplomatic gamble by Machado, hoping symbolism might secure political backing? A personal victory for Trump, finally holding the Nobel he long coveted? Or a sign of how fragile Venezuela's democratic future remains, caught between power, politics, and perception? The Nobel Committee hasn't changed its rules. The prize isn't officially Trump's, but in global politics, symbolism can travel faster than legality. And for Donald Trump, this may be the closest the Nobel has ever come.
That's all the time we have on this edition of Headlines at 8. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great weekend ahead. Do join us again at the same time on Monday.